The U.S. House of Representatives approved Thursday the controversial tax and spending cut package pushed by President Donald Trump, who proudly called it the One Big Beautiful Bill. Spanish authorities reported that in June 2025, some 380 people have died from the diseases triggered by the heat wave that hits the country. And the United Nations Special Rapporteur for Palestine, Francesca Albanese, demanded an arms embargo on the Israeli regime, as well as the suspension of all trade and investment relations with Israel. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Stay with us. The U.S. House of Representatives approved Thursday the controversial tax and spending cut package pushed by President Donald Trump, who proudly called it the One Big Beautiful Bill. With 218 votes in favor and 214 against, the Republicans managed to overcome the Democratic opposition. The White House already celebrated the result, calling it a victory. It was then announced that the president will sign the new law on Friday, the day the U.S. commemorates its independence, at 5 p.m. local time. With this package, the president seeks to implement a series of domestic reforms related to taxes, cuts, and state spending, aimed at priority sectors such as health, immigration, defense, industry, environment, and energy. The One Big Beautiful Bill contemplates tax cuts in the order of billions of dollars that will be offset by cuts to social programs in health and nutrition. It also includes increased public spending on defense, border security, anti-immigration policies, and energy. The One Big Beautiful Bill would cut food aid to nearly 5 million people. It would also cut nursing home care for seniors. Moreover, it would increase the national debt by $3.25 trillion and cut taxes on billionaires by $1.3 trillion. It would make it even easier to buy silencers and firearms. Likewise, it would be massively increased funding for immigration detention, $75 billion for ICE and border patrol raids, and gathers $45 billion to incarcerate immigrants, including children, plus $69 billion to continue construction of the border wall. Earlier today, the minority leader of the U.S. House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries, opposed to the Big Beautiful Bill proposed by the U.S. President Donald Trump.
Speaker, I rise today in strong opposition to Donald Trump's One Big Ugly Bill. This disgusting abomination, the GOP tax scam that guts Medicaid, rips food from the mouths of children, seniors, and veterans, and rewards billionaires with massive tax breaks. Every single Democrat stands in strong opposition to this bill because we're standing up for the American people.
The Salvadoran migrant Kilmar Abreu Garcia, who was deported by the Trump administration to El Salvador's mega prison, SECOT, denounced having suffered torture during his confinement. According to a brief filed by his lawyers, Abreu Garcia suffered sleep deprivation and malnutrition by his jailers at the Terrorism Confinement Center. The migrant was sent to SECOT in March of this year along with a group of other migrants, even though he had an order from a U.S. judge protecting him from deportation. Abreu Garcia is currently being held in a Nashville prison, and although a judge ordered his release, the defense requested that he remain in custody given that the Immigration Service seeks to deport him to a country other than El Salvador. Let's go now to other news. Spanish authorities reported that in June 2025, some 380 people have died from the diseases triggered by the heat wave that hits the country. The daily all-cause mortality monitoring system, known as MOMO, of the Carlos III Health Institute highlighted that in recent weeks, temperatures have been extreme in the country, so that temperature records have been broken in several Spanish municipalities. In this sense, the State Meteorological Agency confirmed that June was the warmest since historical records exist. Likewise, the 2025 general program recorded closer to 2,200 deaths attributed to extreme temperatures, both high and low ones. Around 5,000 people, most of whom were tourists, were evacuated due to a forest fire that broke out on Wednesday afternoon in the La City region of Crete, Greece. According to the fire department, the fire has broken out on 3 fronts and continues to evolve, driven by gusts of wind. This has forced the evacuation of 5 coastal towns. Ierapetra municipality authorities reported that several houses in the area were affected by the fire, as well as cultivated areas and olive trees. About 235 fighters are in the region, while 10 helicopters and air tankers are dropping water to control the flames. Meanwhile, in the Aegean coastal town of Sesme in the Turkish province of Izmir, hundreds of firefighters were deployed to extinguish the active outbreaks of a forest fire. The blaze prompted the preventive evacuation of 3 neighborhoods as well as the closure of roads, including the central highway leading to the provincial capital. Meanwhile, another fire erupted in Ödemiş, some 100 kilometers east of Izmir, where the flames reportedly damaged several houses. Since Friday, hundreds of fires have been reported across drought-hit Turkey, mainly fueled by high winds. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The United Nations Special Rapporteur for Palestine, Francesca Albanese, demanded an arms embargo on the Israeli regime as well as the suspension of all trade and investment relations with Israel. During a session of the United Nations Human Rights Council, Albanese emphasized that Israel is responsible for one of the most brutal genocides in contemporary history in the Gaza Strip. She also described the Humanitarian Foundation of Gaza as a trap intended to kill and forcibly displace Gazans. She had previously criticized human rights violations in Palestine and the West's continued military and financial support for Tel Aviv.
If 60,000 people killed do not push us to take in seriously international obligations, then we're really beyond the pale. So here's what I conclude. There is no possibility to stepping out of this situation other than for member states to do what the International Court of Justice demands through its ruling and through its provisional measures. Imposing an arms embargo immediately is not about asking for a ceasefire. This is not a war. This is a genocidal campaign. And it's clear, and now it's either carried out under the pretense of humanitarian food distribution. This is a death trap.
Israeli occupation forces claim on early Thursday 73 Palestinian lives amid the escalation of the Zionist genocidal campaign in the Gaza Strip. The Gazan government's media office unfolded that among the fatalities there were 33 desperate people seeking help at aid distribution centers run by the controversial Israeli and US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. While in southern Al-Mawazi, the Israeli army attacked a tent, bringing about 13 deaths, Likewise, the Zionist forces dropped shellings on the Mustafa Hafez school. As a result, 11 civilians were killed, in addition to multiple injured. Overall, Palestinian authorities reported that over 300 people have been killed in 26 massacres committed by the occupation army in the last 48 hours. The government of Iran reaffirms the victory of the Islamic nation against the Zionist regime during the 12-day conflict, and the chief of the General Staff, General Abdul Rahim Mousavi, confirmed that evidence, both obvious and hidden, proves Israel's and its U.S. allies' attempt to destabilize the country and was a crushing defeat. He pointed out that any mistake by Israel in Tehran would be met with a strong defense from the Iranian people and armed forces. He also stated that the nuclear issue was merely a pretext for attacking Iran, and that the real objective of its enemies was to weaken and fragment the Islamic Republic system. Israel and the Syrian de facto government negotiated a security agreement to confront Iran and the Hezbollah resistance movement in the region. The agreement is not reportedly within the framework of the so-called Abraham Accords led by the United States, but the Trump administration has provided support to these countries. The maneuver seeks to expand the occupation of the border of the Syrian Golan, the plunder of gas through Israel to Syria, and control the water fields of the Yarmouk River. The Israeli army claims that in order to execute extraction maneuvers, they will need to break the alleged influence of Iran and Hezbollah in the region. Syrian authorities report around 7 fatalities and several injuries after an explosion. According to local media reports, the incident occurred in the town of Jourin in the Hama province near Damascus. The cause of the explosion is still unknown. Meanwhile, an explosion occurred in a weapons depot in Al-Foua, Idlib. There were no reports of death or injuries among the civilian population or emergency services. The Syrian Ministry of Defense said that the explosions were caused by high temperatures and denied any death or injuries among citizens. The Ethiopian government built the large Renaissance Dam of the Blue River, which has led to territorial tensions between Egypt and Sudan. The Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed announced that the state is committed to the project, which will be opened in September, despite suggestions that it be interrupted. Ahmed remarked that the infrastructure is a shared opportunity and a symbol of regional cooperation and mutual benefit for the energy and development it will generate to boost in the entire region. Meanwhile, Egypt and Sudan have expressed their concerns about the project, considering it a threat to their vital water resources. However, Ethiopia announced its will to engage constructively with downstream countries. In Indonesia, at least 35 people were rescued following a ferry shipwreck on the tourist island of Bali. Authorities reported 24 others are still missing. So far, the death toll stands at 6 hours after the wreck, and authorities continue to search in inflatable rafts, hoping to find the rest of the missing. But the strong wind and the high tide make the task difficult. The Search and Rescue Office of Surabaya reported that the vessel carrying 53 passengers and 12 crew members sank at 11:20 p.m. local time on Wednesday. The causes for the incident are still unknown. However, Indonesian authorities launched an investigation to determine the truth. And we have a second short break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. On a short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro emphasized the importance of unity within the Bolivarian armed forces in the fight against terrorism in order to ensure peace and tranquility for Venezuelan families. During the Bolivarian Armed Forces promotion ceremony, the President of Venezuela praised the effort and dedication of its armed forces in the face of constant threats to the country, many of which originate in Colombia. He assured attendees that unity is the backbone of the country in the face of imperialist actions by the West. He also denounced violent groups financed from abroad who seek to destabilize the Bolivarian revolution.
Today, the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, in body and soul, are deployed from north to south, from east to west, in combat, guaranteeing the fight against criminal, violent, drug trafficking, counter-revolutionary gangs, mercenaries, who always come to us from abroad, always come to us, you know from where, from Colombia, all kinds of threats.
In other news, Milei's government welcomes Wednesday the regional heads of state who arrived to attend the Mercosur summit in which Argentina will transfer the pro tempore presidency to Brazil. The encounter is held in Buenos Aires at the San Martin Palace, where Argentine President Javier Milei met with his Mercosur counterparts. During Argentina's pro tempore presidency, the head of state insisted that the bloc must be flexible and that member states must be allowed to seal free trade deals with other regions. The leader referred to the already reached agreement with a European trade group worth $4.3 trillion. At the end of the summit, a declaration is expected with the agreed items, although tensions remain following the announcement of Brazilian President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva to visit former Argentine President Cristina Fernández. In this context, Brazilian President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva visited former Argentine head of state Cristina Fernández de Kirchner. The Brazilian president met with the former Argentine president after her sentence to 6 years house arrest. This is the first visit of international political weight that Cristina de Kirchner receives since the ruling against her. From the moment the ruling against the former president was upheld, Lula da Silva contacted Cristina to give her support. Colombian President Gustavo Petro filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office against former Foreign Minister Álvaro Leiva for an alleged coup plot to remove him from office. The legal recourse presented before the Prosecutor's Office of the Republic refers that the conduct of the former Foreign Minister violates the fundamental principles of the Constitution, which aims to protect the popular sovereignty and democratic stability. Leiva's alleged plan to overthrow Petro was revealed on Sunday by the newspaper El País, which published audios in which the former foreign minister claims to have met 2 months ago in the United States with Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart in an attempt to approach the Secretary of State Marco Rubio and to exert international pressure against Petro. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, citizens are celebrating Vinsaimas, the 2025 carnival that highlights the nation's rich culture. For more on the vibrant event, we go to Kingstown with our special envoy, Belén de los Santos.
Hello, studios. A bit of a rainy day here in Kingstown in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but that is not stopping all the preparations and all the excitement for what's coming in the next few hours. We have been reporting here Vinsaimas is underway, and the preparation for the final event, the final weekend with all its glory, colors, traditions, it's underway, and everyone is truly prepared, last rehearsals on time, last costumes already made, and tonight is the night of the still band contest, also a night of masquerades, so the bands will be shining. Let's recall that the bands are the groups that are participating in this carnival, sort of like a family. One of the members was telling us yesterday when we talked to them, we visited different band camps as they were getting ready for these final competitions, final contests, and they were telling us this idea, the idea that the band at the end of the day is like a family, like a group, supporting each other, thinking about what they are going to do, thinking about the best way to do it, and at the end of the day competing together, celebrating together, taking part of this carnival that is Vincimas. But let's listen to what one of the members of the band that we were talking to before. Let's listen to what Simone Richardson had to say.
So for this carnival, Blondie Bird and Friends, we chose to honor some of our icons of carnival. We chose to honor persons in the mass, in the music, and in the steel pan, because those three components are what makes up carnival in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Our music, the rhythms of the pan section, and the costume. So we're honoring persons like Alston Beckett Cyrus. Many would know his name outside. We're honoring persons like Tanny Peters for the pan. We're honoring, even writing our own for the mass, Lennox Bex Gonsalves with Mirage. So that's what we chose to do this year, honoring our icons, both past and present.
Simone is not just only a member of Blondie Bird and Friends, a renowned band here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but also the queen of the band, and a queen with very much a lot of experience. She was telling us about this experience and the importance of the band culture here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We will continue bringing you a little bit just images, sounds of what is happening here in Kingstown. Stay tuned with teleSUR English for this. For now, we go back to studios.
Thank you, Ellen, for all the latest information on this carnival season in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And with this report from our colleague, we have come to the end of this in brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For teleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.